Hi, welcome to Bonita's Kitchen and thank you for joining us. What I'm going to be making for you today is homemade lasagna. Of course, we all know that this is not a traditional Newfoundland meal. This is a meal that I was asked to do by one of our viewers. So what I'm going to do is show you how to make it my way, from scratch, from making the lasagna noodles to preparing it and getting it all cooked and baked in the oven. So let's get started. So what we're going to start with first is making our dough to make our lasagna noodles. Now this is a step, if you don't want to do, you can just buy the already made lasagna noodles and you can make it that way. But what we'll do now is, I got a pot of water on, starting to boil. We'll get making the dough and I'll show you how that's done. Okay, so what we're going to do first is take 2 cups of flour and we're going to sift it into our bowl, and with a half a teaspoonful of salt. So you just sift that in your bowl first. Okay, so we got that done. I'm just going to put that off to the side. We're going to be using 2 large eggs. And I'm just going to put this right into my measuring cup and a half a cup of cold water. Pour that right in with your eggs and just mix it around lightly. So after you've stirred the egg in with the water, or the water with the egg, pour it all into your flour, sifted flour mixture with salt, and start mixing it around. Now as we do this, if you need to add another little bit of water to bring it all together, that's fine. But basically what I'm doing now is just stirring the liquid into this, and then I'm going to be using my hand because we need to blend it all together and knead it like you would your bread. So after you've at least blended it together where the liquid has gone in through your dough, then start kneading it, as in like you would when you're making your bread, but bringing it together, pinching it and pushing it down. If you need to, again, add a little bit of water if it feels a little dry, and if it don't feel dry and it's got a nice little texture, you could use another little bit of flour to blend it all together. But basically what we're doing, and we got to knead it like this for at least 5 to 10 minutes. It seems like a long time, but the more you work your dough, the better the dough is. So just keep going like that. Of course, I'm not going to do it here for 10 minutes, but just keep going like this to blend it all together. So after you get it to a certain texture, like you said, if it's sticky, you don't want it sticky, dust it with a little bit of flour and then continue bringing it together. Now after once we got it to that texture, which it's almost like this, we're going to take it out. I'm going to put it onto my board here. There's another little bit of flour, just put that there. And what I'm going to do is work it there for a moment. So then you're going to work your dough like this, just make it into a long piece of dough, and then we're going to cover it with some plastic wrap, saran wrap, like this, and we're going to set it aside for about 15 to 20 minutes to let it rest. But lucky for us, I got one right here that I've let rest for a while, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with that next. Okay, so what we're going to do now is unwrap the piece that we've let rest for 20 minutes, and I'm going to dust my board like this, put this down onto my board, and I'm going to cut it in 3 pieces like this, and that's the way I'm going to start to roll it. So I'm going to put these to the side and we're going to roll out the first piece. So pretty much all we're going to do here now is just roll out the dough. Now, like any other dough that you're using, you make it the way you want to use it. So if you want to have it in your pan in sheets. You could, you know, roll it out just like a sheet, or if you want to roll it out and then cut it out the shape of lasagna noodles, you know, just thin, wide strips. But I'll show you the way that I'm going to do mine today, and when you're making yours, then you can decide that. But just roll it out until you get to the thickness that you want. And it's going to be something like this. Okay, so I'm comfortable with this one here. I'm satisfied. So pretty much all you're going to do now, you can cut around the edges to be fancy, but when you're baking or cooking, you don't have to worry about that, because when you put it all together, nobody sees it. I have done mine just in sheets like this, and we'll put it into the water. I'll show you that as well. But if you want to do it, like I was saying, in smaller strips like this, and have it lasagna noodles that way, or all one sheet. And you can also, if you wanted to make, you could use this dough, of course, for your spaghetti, linguine, or if you wanted to make little small, what we would call pockets, and put the cheese and the meat inside, fold it over, and then use this and ball it. So this is all of what you can do, again, when you're making yours. So you can see, you can make it as big or small as you like. So now what I'm going to show you, how to boil it and what you would do there. So what you would do after you get your water to a nice boil, you will put about, well, say about a half a teaspoonful of sea salt, and then a drizzle of olive oil into your water. You don't have to be very particular on how much, just give it about a teaspoonful or less. Let that boil to a gallop, and then once it starts doing that, then take your noodle that you the size you're going to use, and then slowly put it into the water. So you just dip it on down into the water like this, and just let it drop. Leaving it there to boil for 5 to 6 minutes on a boiling heat. And I was showing you about those little pockets. I got cheese in this one, and basically we're not doing this today, but I'm just showing you what you could do with your dough. I got cheese in it. I'm going to put that one down there as well and let it start to boil, and that one will only take the same amount of time. Okay, so this is pretty much what it's going to look like. So what I'm going to do now is take this and put it into a plate. Just going to take it over and just put it on the plate. So you keep doing this until you got them all done, or you can do it together. And that's that little tortilla that we got there, or tortellini, or whatever you want to call it, but it's like a little pocket. So pretty much that's what that's going to look like. What we're going to do next is start frying up our ground beef, and then I'll show you what we'll do after that. Okay, so I got a lot of ground beef here, but mine is half and half lean, half regular ground beef. You can have all lean ground beef. I like to have that little bit of oil to start with, and then I drain it off. So this is about 4 to 5 cups, and because I wanted to make a bigger lasagna. So pour that right into your frying pan and get the frying started on this, and then we'll start putting in our seasonings. Okay, so while we're waiting for our ground beef to start cooking, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next. Before I start with that, I got grated carrot, and I know you're probably saying carrot, but this is a delicious lasagna and you're going to love carrot in it. Crushed tomatoes, tomato sauce, shredded cheese, and it's got like 3 different types in there, and you can pick whatever you like. And we got a container of cottage cheese, 500 mils, and you could use more. I'm going to be using a pan that's 9 by 13 rectangle pan to make a large lasagna, but you could use a square one if you want. So that's our cottage cheese, and you can get whatever type of cottage cheese, less fat or 2%. And we're going to use 1 large egg, and we're going to mix that around in there just until the egg is all covered in your cottage cheese. So now it's frying nice. We're going to be putting in a nice pinch of pepper. Of course, I love pepper, so more than less for me. A pinch of sea salt. You don't need to use a lot of salt because everything, it's got so much flavor in this, you're not even going to notice it. About a teaspoonful of Italian spice seasoning. You could use basil, you could use oregano if you don't want the full blend, but I'm going to use the blended one there, and let that continue frying. And then I'm going to add in, you can add in between a small or a medium chopped onion into your frying pan, and now we're going to let this all fry nice together. Okay, so after you've added those ingredients in there, just let that start to fry and onions start to just wilt a little. And then we're going to be adding into our pan just a drizzle of olive oil, because I want to grease the pan before we start layering our noodles and the ingredients. And just in case you're wondering, I do have the noodles all cooked. I showed you how to do one piece, but I did a few in advance, so it speed up our program, and that way it don't take so long. So when your ground beef starts to cook and starts to get a little caramelized there, we're going to be using 2 garlic cloves. I'm going to pinch it in there. But you could use a grater if you want to grate in to add your garlic, or you could use garlic powder, the same thing with onion powder, or the bottled garlic, because I know you can get that as well. I prefer fresh garlic, but again, it's whatever your preference is. We don't want to put it in too soon because we don't want it to burn. So, but now it's a perfect time because this is coming along really nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, we're going to add in about a cup of shredded carrots into the pot here now. About a cup is lots. I mean, you can add more because that's going to cook down into that. And it just gives this delicious flavor. I mean, ground beef, to me, you can't get no better because you can do so much with ground beef. But adding that little bit of vegetable in there, besides the onion, gives it such a flavor. Okay, so let that cook just a little bit till it starts up frying again, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to do next. Smells absolutely amazing in here. So what I'm going to do next, we're going to add about, I would say, a cup of crushed tomatoes in with our ground beef, and the juice, of course. So you go a cup or a cup and a half, whatever you want to add in there. And we're going to add the same amount of sauce, about a cup to a cup and a half. And we're going to mix that into our ground beef mixture. Okay, so just mix this around till it starts to come up cooking again, like I said. Cooking it all together, that it's all wilted, because it's pretty much all cooked. It's just it's going to cook again in the oven when we put it all together. So what we're going to do now, that this is coming along lovely, is start layering our lasagna. Okay, so this comes the fun part of making this dish. We already got our pan greased. I'm going to turn off my ground beef now because that's cooked. We don't need to do no more with that. And what I'm going to do is put a nice helping of sauce at the bottom of the pan first, so that the noodles is not going to stick. Even though I got oil on the bottom, I want to have that nice juice on the bottom from the pasta sauce. Okay, so let's start layering our noodles. Alright, so now this is the fun part. So this is the noodles that I've already had done, and I got them in sheets. So I'm going to put 2 sheets at the bottom, unless you got it all one sheet, that's fine. But these noodles are so delicious and very very tasty. So I'm going to put a layer of sauce there first and spread that over. Then we're going to be using a layer of the cottage cheese with egg. I'm going to spread that over there now because I need that one more layer. Now you could use 2 containers of cottage cheese if you want to make more. That's fine as well. But 1 should be lots. So it looks something like that. We're going to be using a nice helping of the ground beef mixture. So you pretty much could use half of this because it's going to be like 2 layers of the same. So we're just pretty much going to repeat what we've done here on the next one. But a nice, and all of it's spicy. I'm not going to add any more seasonings because the seasonings are in with the ground beef mixture. So it's not necessary to use that. And then we're going to have a nice helping of the shredded cheese. That's mixed cheese. Unless you want to use all matzo, that's fine too. So that's the first layer. Okay, so now comes to the second layer. Pretty much the same as the first. We put our noodles on the top of the cheese. We don't need to put no sauce over the cheese there then, but we will put it over the top of this noodle. So just have it that is equally all over the noodles. Now on this layer, I'm going to be adding in just a little bit of the crushed tomato, even though I got it in the ground beef portion, but I just wanted to have it on top of the sauce. Okay, so next would be our cottage cheese. So pretty much you're repeating what you did the first time, leaving a little bit of the cottage cheese to go over the top, the very top with the shredded cheese. So you're just going to mix that or spread this over equally. Okay, so we're pretty much going to put the rest of this ground beef now on top of the lasagna. At this point of the stage, if you wanted to taste your ground beef and to see if it's, you know, got that flavor for you, if you want to add some more, I don't know, pepper or maybe seasoning or even garlic, that's fine. But that amount is perfect. It's just a nice flavor. Please don't use too much salt because you don't really need it with this, because usually is a little bit of salt in your sauce, maybe in the tomatoes. Alright, so that's the layer of that. So we're going to do the final layer. Okay, so we're going to put the last layer of our noodles. These noodles are so good. I can't brag about them enough. And then put a little bit of sauce, because we don't want it to be dry, you don't want it to be crunchy. Anyone that have had lasagna or have made lasagna, you want for it to have that nice texture when you're eating it. You can dip your bread in with it, whatever you like to do. So nice helping of the sauce, and then the last of the cottage cheese. So spread that cottage cheese evenly over the top. Just look how delicious that looks. And then the rest of your cheese. Now you can go tons of cheese if you want it, but because you got cheese in every layer, it's not necessary for it to be all cheese. Well, maybe it is, but that's just my opinion. And then we're going to top with another little bit of Italian spice or seasoning over the top. And this is what your lasagna is going to look like before it's cooked. So we're going to be baking our lasagna in a preheated oven of 350-375 for 30 minutes. And then after, when it looks like it's starting to golden brown and you can see the bubbling, everything is cooked in there, so it doesn't matter just everything blending together. Then meet me back here and I'm going to cut off a nice piece to show you what it looks like. Welcome back to Bonita's Kitchen, and now our lasagna is done. The only thing easier than making it this way is buying it from the store. But if you buy it from the store, you're not going to make it as delicious as this. So what I'm going to do for you now is cut a nice helping, not this big. I just want to cut it in half first to give me by there on my quarter, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So just cut out a nice helping. Now it would be nice if you could let it rest for a little bit before you cut it and take a piece out, but that won't be no fun for you because you want me to show you what this is going to look like. So I'm going to take out a nice helping. Okay, so this is what she's going to look like. Absolutely delicious. So I'm just going to let it off my... There you go. I'm going to put some freshly grated Parmesan over the top and a little bit of parsley, and that is what your delicious piece of homemade lasagna is going to look like. Okay, and of course we got our nice piece of garlic toast, and it's homemade bread, and you can access that on Bonita's Kitchen, of course, and just add some garlic butter. I'm going to have a nice little taste here now. The noodles are just soft and tender, and you can taste all the flavors in with the ground beef, and of course the hidden flavor, the grated carrots. And also, I know you probably could remember when I did the little pocket, the little ravioli, and I just put some sauce over it and some Parmesan cheese, and that's delicious. You can have that any time, but you can make it with the same noodle dough that I just showed you how to do. So this is it. This is as good as it gets. I would also like to thank the viewers that suggested that I do a lasagna for them today, and of course I hope that everybody else finds this episode helpful for you. And if you want to see more delicious homemade meals by me on Bonita's Kitchen, don't forget to subscribe to YouTube. It's up at the top right hand corner. Hit the link. It will prompt you to what you need to do. And you can also visit me on www.bonitaskitchen.com and my Facebook page. So from my kitchen to yours, thank you for joining me again today, and you have a wonderful day.